Hello, you. So I ended up changing the pickups on another Squier. I guess it's kind of becoming a thing for me. Just to give you a baseline of where the guitar started, it was initially like a HSS, I think classic vibe Squier. So unfortunately, most of the changes to the sound of the guitar actually happened before you guys were here. The pickguard changed from black to white, and I changed the knobs to these nice witch hat white knobs. So you're not going to hear a huge sound difference with the pickup change out, but I do have something for you. Finally changed over the nice little black hat white one. So listen out for that. The pickups in this initially were kind of not great. They were all Seymour Duncan design, kind of cheaply made, I think. I think they were going for like a sort of high gainable Tele variant. I don't really know. So it had a Duncan design Minihumbucker in the neck, a Strat stack coil in the middle, and a stacked coil in the bridge too. By the time I did the demos for this, I had switched out that middle pickup because I just didn't like how it sounded. I had a lot of the same complaints about it as I did the bridge, and that ended up being one of the single coil pickups from the Cyclone before I changed that out. So those are known for being like maybe overly chimey. Anyway, I thought it was an improvement, but the bigger improvement was soon to come. So I ended up getting Pure Vintage 624 Fender Telecaster pickups for the middle and the bridge. For the neck pickup, I was kind of looking for a Firebirdie type Minihumbucker, though that ended up being a Gibson Les Paul Deluxe neck pickup from around 2015. And the idea was to wire them up in the same way I had rewired the old pickups for the guitar, which was on a 6-way super switch. From front to back, you have neck and bridge, neck, neck and middle, middle, middle and bridge, and bridge. This, as it turns out, was a Sisyphusian task, or maybe a Syphilisian task, because at the end, I felt this project degrading my brain. By God, I wired these in place in every possible configuration that you could do and not make it work. First major hurdle was it turns out Gibson and Fender, their pickups don't really play along well together. Essentially, their grounds and hot wires are wired in opposite. Plus, Gibson likes to do the old braid on the outside as the ground thing, which didn't make things any less complicated. That meant I had to change the ground and hot on the Fender, which required rewiring the neck pickup's plate to be to the previous hot wire. After that, it just turned into a series of ghost issues I couldn't figure out. Sometimes some of the pickups would work, sometimes all of them would work at half power. It turns out that the super switch, now and not before for some reason, was grounding out to the plate in the route in the body, which of course made me want to take a short to ground from the roof. This nightmare drug on for literally weeks until I came to the only logical conclusion for a true engineer. I stuffed a bunch of electrical tape in there in between the switch and the body, and I installed it a bunch of times, wiggling it different until it didn't ground out. Finally, everything was more or less in place and working, I think. And it's time for you to hear the night and day difference. So this is all played through a 68 custom Vibrolux. It's on the Bassman side, so that's essentially what the amp is. It's at 4, so just a tiny bit of breakup, flat EQ, and reverb on 2, so it's barely there. Everything went through the same interface and the same cab IR. As far as pickup height, I set it very similar and tweaked it to ear a little bit, so I think you're getting the best version of both setups. Check it out. so I'll give my thoughts now, going position by position. First, the neck and bridge setup sounded pretty similar. I liked it on both. I think this is a little bit better string definition, spankier, definitely more single coily. As far as the neck goes, I liked that old Seymour Duncan. It was way too dark to be used most of the time, but it had a really nice jazzy, punchy sound. This new one has way less bass, but the definition is better, and honestly, I'm kind of blown away by the Gibson pickup. It sounds really single coily, it plays well with the other pickups, it's nice. And if anything, I think the middle position setup on this with the Fender Telecaster neck might be a little bit weaker than the Cyclone. I don't know. That Cyclone was just so chimey and over the top in brightness that it's kind of nice to mix with the other two darker pickups. Here I still like it. It's got really nice qualities, including really good string definition. However, I might just drop it down to the body to get that almost out of phase chimey sparkle. The mixed positions, middle and neck, middle and bridge, both sound good in the old setup and good here. Probably a bit better, honestly. And the bridge. God, I hated that old Seymour Duncan bridge. That was pretty much the entire reason for changing out all these pickups, and then I went crazy with it. That old one sounded like an Epiphone bridge humbucker through like the worst tube screamer I've ever used. It was very bad. I did not like it at all. This sounds like I would imagine a Fender Telecaster bridge pickup is supposed to sound. Biting, tacky, almost kind of unpleasant until you put some drive on it. It's nice. So in the end, I'd say this pickup change-up brought me to the outer reaches of what my mind is capable of understanding as earthly torment. It challenged the very fabric of my being and left me a weaker man in the end. But I think it sounded a bit better. Let's hope I see you next time.